Hello and welcome to our meeting here, Transcom meeting today. We appreciate you being here. Today is Thursday, the 20th of November, and it's 1:30 p.m. We want to extend a special welcome to the new Utah Transportation Commissioner, Tom Jacobson, who's joining us online. Transportation's his specialty, and he's checking out the fix-it shops up there in Wasatch County. Yeah, well, it wasn't his choice, but just his privilege. So we welcome all of you here as well. Thank you for being here. Andrea, why don't we go ahead and introduce those who have joined us online, if you would?
Certainly, Commissioner Harvey. Online today, we have Commissioner Tom Jacobson, Mayor Sherry Bingham, and also attending Councilmember Ken Ritchie and Helen Peters and Jamie Danzy.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us online. And from you, Rosie, let's just introduce the room. Go ahead.
Rosie Hernandez, part of the admin team at Wasatch Front Regional Council.
Jordan Chandler, also part of the admin team at WFRC.
Joe Smoka, Immigration Canyon.
Dirk Burton, Mayor of West Jordan, and for your information, our police chief retired. He's having his retirement party this afternoon, so I'm going to have to leave early. But if any of you want to come join me after that, that's at City Hall for Chief Valentine.
Will the ice cream be melted or?
Well, it'll definitely be soft serve.
Rob Daly holiday.
Ted Knowlton, Deputy Director, Chief Planner at WFRC.
Andrea Pearson, WFRC.
Andrew Gruber, Executive Director here at WFRC. And Mr. Chair, I welcome everybody here. And I just note really briefly, this is quite the week here in Utah. Right now, we just finished in this room the Salt Lake Conference of Council of Government. So those of you that have been here for a while already, thanks. We love having you spend a bunch of time with us. We are also hosting in Utah right now the National League of Cities Conference. So those of you that are bouncing back and forth between this and the conference, thank you. Right now, also the Utah Association of Counties is having their commissioners meeting as we speak, and we therefore appreciate our chair for stepping out of that for a little bit. And to add, we are hosting in Utah right now the annual meeting of the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, AASHTO, that's the State DOT's association. So we appreciate Ben for joining us, stepping out of that. So lots of stuff going on, and we appreciate those of you that are joining us here today in the midst of all of that.
Thank you very much, Andrew. That was a wonderful report. And we'll expect to hear a little more here a bit. Jim Harvey, Weber County.
Wayne Benyon, Wasatch Front Regional Council staff.
Beth Holbrook, Trustee, Utah Transit Authority.
Ben Hewitt, UDOT.
Mayor Natalie Hall, Bluffdale.
Lauren Palmer, Mayor in Harriman.
Carlton Christensen, a trustee for the Utah Transit Authority.
Ariba Sultani, Short Range Planning, WFRC.
Chandler Butler, UTA Government Relations.
Paul Egbert, UDOT Region 1 Program Manager.
Kendall Draney, Region 2 Program Manager with UDOT.
We welcome all of you here today. We do have a quorum, and so we'll move to our first action item.
We missed somebody.
We missed somebody?
Just Ben.
Where is he? Oh, he's in the back. I couldn't see him.
In his normal spot.
Ben, he's hidden behind all those folks.
I stand behind these great men. Yep. Ben Withrich with WFRC staff.
Thank you. Was there someone else online? Okay, great. Then we'll move to our first action item, which is the approval of the minutes for the minutes meeting held on August 21st, 2025. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Joe.
Second.
Thank you, Carlton. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Those meeting minutes pass unanimously. Our next one will be our chair's report. We'd like to thank the outgoing Transcom members for their service. Mayor Kendall Harris from Bountiful, Mayor Rob Daly from Holiday, Mayor Mike Wickers from Cottonwood Heights. The national, and then you covered this right here, the National League of Cities is holding their conference, and so,
Oh, I got ahead of you.
yeah, that's okay, that's
My
great.
apologies.
I think it was wonderful. You did it, was personable, it was wonderful. The next item on our agenda is public comment. Is there any here on the public, whether it's here or online, that would like to speak? We'd like to limit your comments to 3 minutes, if you would, please. Please state your name and organization you're with.
Mr. Chair,
Please, Joe.
I am also outgoing.
Oh, Joe, I'm sorry to hear that. You missed that. Sorry. Thank you for your service. Okay, any other public comment we can have at this
So not
time?
as sad as you are, by the way.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on then to our Transportation Improvement Program. We have two items today in regard to the Transportation Improvement Program, or the TIP. The first is a brief report of modifications the council made back for the 2026 to 2031 in October. The second is action on the item proposed for the modifications of the TIP. We have our very own Ben Withrich that will help us. Ben, what do you have for us today?
Thank you, Commissioner. So we do have, this is the board modification for the Second Amendment. Yes. Thank you. Perfect, Mayor. Thanks. It is now. So just stepping back, this is the second board modification for the 2026-2031 Transportation Improvement Program. And as a reminder, the Transportation Improvement Program is essential to the process. It implements the long-range plans, and it for our highway transit and active transportation projects, but it also helps us meet the short-range needs along the area and provide for the maintenance of our existing system. So as was noted by the vice chair there, we have two items before you. The first item here was a board mod that was reviewed and approved by the regional council in their meeting back in October. In your meeting materials is a copy of that signed resolution. And then there's three tables that highlight the projects that were part of that board modification. And those three tables are also included in your meeting materials. This is an information item. Is there any questions on any of this material?
There's no questions, Ben. Let's continue to moving forward, if you would, please.
Perfect. Thank you. So then we have the board mod before you today for your review and approval. There are two tables that identify 6 projects, and we'll go through those projects fairly quickly. The first project that's on that table is a project in Salt Lake County. This is a project on I-215. It's a request from UDOT, and it's to construct a southbound auxiliary lane from 700 North to I-80. Looking down on the facility itself, there's 215, looking from the ramp on the first picture, then onto Main Line, and then moving along 215 till you get to the ramp that exits there west on I-80. The intent or the desire with this is with the merge lane, it eliminates, or with the auxiliary lane, it reduces the conflict points, allowing more time for the merge. There'll also be a ramp meter that will be constructed on the ramp there at 700. This will enable some spacing as cars, or gaps between the traveling cars on I-215 to allow those vehicles to enter onto I-215 from 700 North. This project is a new project. It's estimated to cost $9 million. It's being funded with Transportation Solution Program funds. And that would be the first project for this board mod.
Hey, Ben, can I ask
Yes.
a question on that? You know, it's blessing those of us who live in that area with the reconstruction. Will this be done in conjunction with that, or will it follow up afterwards? What do they think the timing of it? And I'm all for it. It'll improve my arrival at the airport by 5 minutes, so I'm excited.
So we're currently in the process of getting design completed on it. We're working with Federal Highways and looking at the possibility of including it into the existing project that is going on right now. We're still in talks on that. So right now, the idea is this would be constructed next year, but we're hopeful that we'd be able to do it with the project as it stands now, but I do not have a definitive answer yet on that.
Thank you, Kendall. Thank you. So the next project that we have to look at is a project up in Weber County. This is a request from Plain City, and it's on 3600 West. This project is between 2600 North and 1975 North. The intent of this project is to reconstruct with minor widening along this, including our drainage, curb gutter, and sidewalks. This is the one facility that we reference quite a bit when we talk about the little school child riding along the side or the shoulder of the traffic. This is an improved picture since that time. But back when Transcom reviewed this project and recommended the funding to the regional council, it was estimated to cost about $3.1 million plus. The funds that were requested is $2.9 million. Since that time, as the project has moved through the design process, the updated estimated project cost now is $5.9+ million. With that increase, the city went to Weber County because part of the increase was due to right-of-way, went to Weber County through the WACOG process and was able to secure an additional $1.9+ million. That still left us about a $1.1 million shortfall. The request from Plain City is for an additional $900,000 in STP funds, and then the city commits to bring the remaining $200,000. This would be the second of the board modifications before you. The third project that we have is a project in Davis County. This is a project on the West Davis.
Sorry,
Yes,
can you go back one slide,
yes.
please? Thank you.
The next project is in Davis County, and this is a project on the West Davis Highway, or SR 177. As many of you have hopefully had the opportunity to drive on this facility, from essentially where Legacy Highway concludes up to SR 193. The intent of this board modification is to request additional funding for the construction of the segment between 193 and 1800 North. Initially, when this project this was part of the environmental document that was done on the West Davis corridor that extended up to 1800 North. And this particular section initially, or in the original scope, was to have one lane in each direction. Funding was approved for that back in 2023 to begin the design work, the right-of-way, and utility design. As the project progressed through, additional traffic studies were done, and the growth and development of the area, it was identified that additional 2 lanes of traffic were necessary. So essentially, a 4-lane section of road. So it would be a consistent cross-section of the West Davis all the way up to 1800 North. This would also include some improvements on 1800 North, widening on the east side of 1800 North, as well as a box culvert widening that will be in the area of a future interchange as the West Davis moves further north. The request for this project is for the additional $142 million, making the total project cost $261 million. That brings us to our second table, and that identifies the next 3 projects that we'll discuss here. The first one being another project in Salt Lake County. This is on SR 190 at Fort Union. This project identified in this location was initially to construct a merge lane from Wasatch Boulevard up to where the river crossing is to the east, as well as adding dual lefts from Wasatch up to the canyon. As this project was being designed, it was estimated the project would cost about $15 million. But as the design and as the data was produced, the project increased up to $28 million. The operational improvement isn't justified for this amount of cost. So UDOT requests that we abandon this project, taking the $2.2 million necessary to wrap the project up. They'll keep the design, they'll keep the data for future canyon, Cottonwood Canyon improvements, but then return the $12.8 million funds back to the parent project, which is the Big Cottonwood Canyon Enhanced Mobility, Increased Bus. Well, I got the pictures right here. So here's the Big Cottonwood Canyon project. But you got your increased bus, you got your bus stop improvements, and you've got your mobility hub, and then you've got the tolling facility. So the idea is to take the funds, the 12.8 million, move them back to this project and close the other project out at $2.2 million. The next project that we have before us is a project in Morgan. This is on
Sorry, Van,
I-84.
Can I have you back up again? Sorry.
That's
Explain
great.
that, the picture behind that, I missed it, but you're showing the only toll road in Utah right there.
Correct.
So is that proposed to be a toll road?
Yeah, there'll be tolling facilities up the Cottonwood Canyon. Yes.
Thank you.
I think Mill Creek has tolling as well.
What do you think? Oh, okay. I did not know that. I took the only picture I could find for the Utah area, but we want to brag about it. It is a good project. I believe it's near some ground the commissioner owns as well, but wonderful area. So moving along here on the area, the next project is in Morgan. This is on I-84 over the Weber River. The locals refer to this as the Long Bridge over Weber River, but through this section of I-84, over the years, this area was, especially the bridge was built in 1967. They say that's old for a structure. I don't think it's old for people though. So I think it's a facility ahead of its schedule. But anyway, as this road looking here is a picture of the facility looking west. Then you got a picture on the Long Bridge section and then another bridge structure that will be addressed in this project. But the intent of this project, it's a new project. This has had 6 rehabs done to it, this particular structure. And the last rehab was done last year in 2024, but it's necessary to reconstruct this whole facility here. And so this is a new project coming to the table that's estimated to cost $100 million. Those funds have been programmed or are available through the state transportation investment funds to be programmed once approved for a total project cost of $100 million. The last project that we have before us for this board modification is a project in Salt Lake. This is a UDOT request on SR 201. This is for structure preservation. This is to repair bridges on I-80, the off and on ramps, and then also on 201, just west of 9180 West. We'll look at those. The first one here at 9180 West, both of these structures going both east and westbound. They need to have some structural preservation, it'll take care of the potholing as well as it'll seal the structure. And then looking at the structures on 210 or 201 onto I-80, both the on-ramp and the off-ramp of these structures. So it's for the bridge decks, rehabs, the structural pothole patch and seal. This project's estimated to cost $1.3 million and comes from the Transportation Solution Program. Mr. Chair, that's all the projects before us.
Thank you for your report. And just, Ben, it's always amazing how much you've got information up there in that cranium of yours. It's awesome.
Any of the good stuff comes from my counterparts.
Well, you build a great team. Look, are there any questions for Ben or any of the counterparts he just referred to in either Region 1 or Region 2 of UDOT? Hearing no questions, any online? Hearing no questions, I'm looking for a motion to approve the resolution or to modify the 2026 through 2031 Transportation Improvement Program as requested.
I'll move to approve.
Thank you. And there's music from heaven. Thank you. Is there any other? Is that a second from here? Sherry, was that a second?
Second. I'll second it.
Thank you very much, Rob. Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'll place that motion for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Aye.
All right, great. Thank you. All right. One thing is on the annotated agenda, we just want to make sure that you, wait a second, I missed this right here. Never mind. Let's go to the Utah Transit Authority. We're going to move to item 5 on our agenda. We've got the great Carlton Christensen here. The Utah Transit Authority has been preparing their budget for the calendar year of 2026, and we've invited them to provide an overview on it. Carlton Christensen, who's the trustee and chair of the board, will provide that. After that, after his presentation, we'll have a little discussion if needs be. Carlton, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I know that there are some here that are on our local advisory council and have, as well as my colleague Beth, have seen this many, many times, but I'll just want to go through a few items with you. A few years ago, we adopted our strategic plan and statutorily we're set to update that plan next year, but our budget and many of the aspects in our longer term efforts are based on that strategic plan. And what you see here down in each of our operating unit levels, each of those groups set goals related to their budgets and to achieving this particular strategic plan. A couple of things to note here. You'll see some slight increase in our operating cost as well as some additional debt service within our budget. Like many of you, we're very heavily dependent on sales tax. In fact, by far, that's the largest majority of our revenue comes from sales tax on the non-food tax. But one of the reasons you'll see an increase here in the operating is that due to some successful completion of our bus rapid transit MVX, or in the middle of Salt Lake County, that comes out of our Murray Central Station and through the Slick campus and then on to West Valley City. That project is about a year ahead of schedule. We had some fortuitous timing with the contractor, and so in order to, rather than let that project sit for a year, we're going to start operating it this spring. And so it required hiring additional headcount in order to run that service. Our largest cost overall is our labor cost. Whether they're bus operators, maintenance individuals, mechanics, train or tracks operators, all of those take a lot of individuals. Our overall head count next year is about 3,100 employees, and so as we look at a modest wage increase, by far the largest portion you'll see is in our labor cost. What you'll see in part in the utilities and other things is a little bit different for our electric buses. Electric buses, you'll see as in our fuel line item for the electricity to run those in our tracks systems. And so the utilities are just general utilities in order to operate our facilities. Let's see. This also gives you a sense of the number of employees that we have by operating mode. As you'll see there, the largest portion is in the bus area, but that will include not only operators for that new line, but it will also include some mechanics and support personnel for the additional vehicles that are part of that program. As we look at our overall capital project, about 55% of our capital budget over the next 5 years are geared towards some fairly large projects. We're in the process of designing a new administration building at our Mount Ogden facility. That facility is woefully inadequate, and we've added additional service in that area, and we are planning to add some more service next year. And so that work, along with some work out in the yard and other elements, is currently underway. We're extending the S line there in Sugar House, our streetcar line. Most of that is state funding through the TTIF program, and we're very appreciative of that commitment. That really moves the S line to a more logical conclusion as far as location goes. And then we do a lot of maintenance control work. More than half of our capital budget is really about maintaining our system, which is an important piece and not always replicated by other transit agencies elsewhere in the United States. And that's often a place where they close gaps. And while that might get you through a tight year, long-term, it's a really expensive proposition. We're continuing on with the Davis and Salt Lake community connector. That design work, if I'm not incorrect, Beth, is complete or nearly complete. And then we're working on securing the last of that funding. We did get some funding recently from Davis County to help that project continue to move forward, and then finishing up MVX, as well as rehab and replacement of our light rail vehicles. Our originally 40 light rail vehicles are approaching the end of their useful life. We went through a procurement with a local manufacturer, Stadler, and they were successful, and we went ahead and ordered all 80 of those. Most of that money we're paying through bond financing, and we'll probably be back out in the bond financing market in about 3 years to pay for the last portion of those light rail vehicles.
Carlton,
Question?
may I ask a question?
Please.
Could you just go back one slide, please?
Sure.
First, you noted something briefly, but it's worth highlighting, which is the MVX, the Mid-Valley Connector, the Bus Rapid Transit in Central Salt Lake County, completed a year ahead of schedule.
Yeah, sorry.
That's awesome.
It deserves
a-
a woohoo. 'Cause
Woohoo.
yes,
It is
So
awesome.
that'll come online. And when is that going to be in operation?
We're looking at operation at the end of March. Normally our normal change day is in April, but I think they're anticipating that being available for revenue service by the end of March, but
Okay.
we'll announce that probably early next year.
That's great. I mean, we're looking forward to it, as are all the communities. So that's terrific. And then may I also just ask, you noted about bond financing for at least a portion of the light rail vehicle replacement. I did notice when you were showing your overall costs in an earlier slide that your debt service payments are actually going up for 26 compared to 25, and just give you an opportunity, if you're willing, to explain a little bit about what the debt portfolio is and why that would be going up.
Sure. When you look at UTA's debt, the majority of it is by far, almost in its entirety, is our rail system, both commuter rail and light rail when they were built. Most of that debt was 30-year debt. The conclusion of it is in about year 2044. Those last 2 years have, it drops considerably. As that debt was issued and not too unexpected, it timed when the bulk of the construction finished in 2013. And so if you just kind of, based on the debt that's there, there was always anticipated a spike over the next 5 or 6 years. As we've done a little over $2 billion in refinancing, it's all been for the better, but it's to try to level out that spike, but the spike nevertheless is there. Our most recent financing, for the light rail vehicles, we backloaded most of the principal in those to those final 2 years. We didn't extend the length of our debt, but as you can see, right now it's about, I think it's about 19% of our revenue goes to debt service, but that's down from 24% in 2018. And so we have not really, other than to complete OGX and some facilities, the commuter rail station in Vineyard, and now these light rail vehicles, we really haven't issued new debt for new service. Everything, we've been pretty fortunate between TTIF and federal funds to be able to, and our own internal funds to meet most of our obligations.
Right, so haven't issued new debt, but have been actively looking for opportunities to refinance to have more favorable interest rates, right?
Yeah, and those,
great.
And we'll take those whenever they come up and they make sense for us financially.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for pointing that out, Andrew. Whoops, let me just go back one. As you look at our state of good repair, we're about 73% of our 5-year debt. By far, the bulk of it is in what we'd call revenue vehicle replacement, so train car sets. And this doesn't include the commuter rail additional sets that are part of Frontrunner AFR2X. Those funds will be through UDOT. That's their project. We'll take delivery of those vehicles eventually and maintain those. But the costs you see here are either our light rail vehicles or a large component is our bus replacement. Just to give you a sense of it, a diesel bus now is maybe, I think, around 700,000. An electric bus would be about 1.2 million. Maybe a little bit more of that, and natural gas is somewhere in between those two. So I mentioned our Mount Ogden facility. That one is the design is nearly done. I think their plan is to go out for a bid for contractors here early next year, and should be underway shortly. We in our capital budget, we have a fairly sizable amount to continue.
Carlton, could you just go back to the previous slide? I apologize for interrupting you, but
No,
I
no,
just
you're
thought
good.
it'd be good to point out some of the other upgrades in addition to the Ogden facility, which is the majority of that fund. But notice the escalators at North Temple, as well as the Farmington Station elevators. Those are the infrastructure. That's like the bread and butter type stuff that is super critical to making sure that our system continues to be efficient. And I just wanted to articulate that. So thank you so much.
No, thank you for reminding me. We also are currently underway with the construction of a training facility, both for bus and rail, as well as those maintaining those systems, and that's in South Salt Lake. Again, we're looking to improve our bus stops. Many of our bus stops do not meet ADA requirements, and we're working with a number of the communities to be able to address those, and we welcome partnerships where you see opportunities for us. And we find as we improve bus stops, ridership increases at those locations. Just the Frontrunner 2X, FR Frontrunner 2X that's currently underway with being led by UDOT is there. But in the meantime, and that will come with 10 new train sets as part of that in order to get to 15-minute headways. But our existing commuter rail trains will still need to be overhauled, and work to do to maintain those. We'll need both sets of those in order to do that. I mentioned we're replacing those 40 light rail vehicles, and then we still need to overhaul the existing ones. Systems on there need to be replaced. And then just an outline in our 5-year plan of the breakdown of the types of propulsion modes that we're looking for in our bus fleet, as well as our paratransit vehicles. We're working to get our paratransit vehicles so they're near level boarding, or right now an individual's lifted up quite high on a lift in order to put in it. So we're going with a different type of vehicle that puts it lower to the ground and will be a lot better for the patron as well as our operators who are loading and unloading individuals that need that help.
Can I just point out at the previous slide, that's the Stadler version of what we anticipate getting for our Blue Line replacement. So I just want to point that out. They have a little bit of a difference there, so.
Oh, thank you.
You mean that vehicle that we're looking at?
That's the prototype look of them.
Yeah, selected through a full competitive procurement process. And it's great to have a local vendor that won that process, right?
And this is their first, while they've definitely constructed light rail vehicles, this is their first domestic light rail vehicle that they've constructed. So this opens a new market for them.
This is Tom Jacobson, and I know I'm remote, so it makes it hard to interface with this. I was going to wait till you finished all of them. But
that's okay.
You know, when you purchased those vehicles from Stadler, there were two things I noted. First of all, Stadler internationally, as well as here, has the best performance in terms of on-time performance for delivery. If you ask around Europe, if you're looking for something timely, even if sometimes it costs them more, they go to Stadler. The other thing is the price that we paid, I noticed, was actually a far better price than some of the other transit agencies around the country have been paying for vehicles recently. So that is a very positive thing. Since we got this slide up, I'm going to ask you, part of being able to maintain things and to keep your costs down is to keep your spare parts and things like that cost down. Why do we need both natural gas buses and diesel buses? Can't we standardize on one or the other?
Well, a couple of answers that I will put there. It never does us well to have one single propulsion mode. You never know which one's going to get disrupted. And so having multiple sources of propulsion mode give you some redundancy. And in many of your community emergency management plans, you look to us in that regard. The second piece I would say to that is that, and so in a disaster, we don't know what's available and what's not. The second piece to that is there are some air quality benefits, for example, with natural gas, and
yes,
the cost of natural gas is cheaper than right now than diesel is. So there's some advantages at times.
Can I ask just a follow, and this is more curious, but another agency that we work with, I assume you go back out to market and sell your old stuff, and I'm sure not for much, but I've heard that the CNG product is really tough to sell on the secondary market. Have you found that to be true as well?
You know, we haven't aged out. I think the oldest CNG vehicles are just beginning to age out. I don't know the answer to that. So for a long time, we didn't have a great facility to maintain them. And a couple of years ago, when we finished our Depot District facility, it gave us the first time a good facility, because it requires special bays in order to work on natural gas. I just would note that we've been, and you've probably experienced, whoops, I probably hit a button I wasn't supposed to. But we've done a lot of upgrading in recent and we'll continue to do so in replacing some of the original switching equipment on our light rail vehicles, our light rail system, as well as upgrading signals and improving remote controls of that system. So this is outline of our budget process. We've concluded our public input portion, but we certainly welcome other comments. Our staff will bring us back any final adjustments on December the 3rd, and then our plan is to adopt on December 17th. Any questions? Other questions?
Questions for Carlton?
Thank you.
Great, thank you. That, appreciate that very much, Carlton. That's a great presentation. And Beth, since you're here too, thank you so much for what you've done in our communities with that public transportation. Thank you for looking forward. And I'm really happy that Stadler's in there and doing such great things. Also, that I'm sure if we ever needed a part, they're just kind of down the road, aren't they? Makes that a little easier. So that's awesome. Well, all right. Let's go to item number 5B, which is our region from UDOT. We've got both Kendall Draney and Paul Egbert here from UDOT, and we're going to wanted to thank them for taking some time. Of course, we love Region 1, Paul. Thank you so much for being here. Why don't you show us what you've got going on, will you please?
Yeah. As mentioned, I'm Paul Egbert. Just for those who aren't familiar with, I think 90% of you probably know, UDOT's divided up into 4 regions. I represent Region 1, the northernmost region, and basically everything north of Salt Lake County. So we'll start off with a small project, the $2.9 billion project that went out to solicitation last week or the week before. And it'll be out for the design build selection for up until about the same time next year. So out for about 10 or 11 months. At that point, we'll make a selection and they'll start the design, the final design and construction. It's anticipated to take about 4 years during construction. We got a project that's about halfway done up at Park Lane or Shepherd Lane, just north of Park Lane by Lagoon and Farmington. Putting a new interchange there. The east-west route should be opening up next week before Thanksgiving, opening that bridge back open. And we anticipate that we're also with this project at Park Lane, adding about 4 bridges to accommodate pedestrians across east-west, across the tracks, I-15 and 89, as well as a box culvert underneath Park Lane. And so we expect that facility to be open in the summer next year. They'll be closing down Park Lane for time to get that underpass in place, but the whole project will be done the end of next year. One project that's kind of about halfway done, wrapping up, 5600 South. This is the north end of Hill Air Force Base. The I-15 portion will be wrapping up this year. And then they'll finish up the corridor going west next year. Just south of it, we've been blaming all the...
Can you just jump back 1 sec? Is that the project, the preceding one, that when you're going on one more, there you go. That when you're going on I-15 and on the east side of the freeway, there's sort of the massive buildup of
that's the next
landfill. One. That's the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, then keep going. Thank you.
So
This one.
I was the project manager for this one for a while, so we just blamed everything on 5600 South. You didn't know the difference. So if there's any traffic problems, it was their project. I can say 5600 South is wrapping up the I-15 portion. Ours started this year, and I-15 is getting moved about 800 feet to the east to get some separation to 126 Main Street there, so our operation of the interchange can function much better. They moved several 100,000, over 300,000 yards of material in about 3 months at the beginning. It's kind of fun. They had the big earth movers and just running almost around the clock. They are paving it already. They've put an asphalt down and concrete on top. And that concrete actually will be kind of wrapped up here in the next week or two. And I need to stop by on the way back because they're swinging girders. on this new interchange. And this is a really weird thing. We're not used to swing girders for the bridges without traffic, so it might be a little too simple. So, but this I-15 portion will be completed by the end of next year. In fact, in the spring, northbound traffic will be moved over onto it. And then the 810 North corridor that goes all the way down to 2000 West in Clinton will be completed the year after, into 27. Talking about Clinton, we're just wrapped up a section of 108, 2000 West project there. And we'll be advertising the end of next year, the next phase going north, which takes you up into the West Haven section, up to the section up there that's already concrete we did about 7-8 years ago. We have the 24th Street interchange. We're working on designing on that and purchasing right away. They come to the bottom left-hand corner there. The train tracks run across at a diagonal across that intersection. We're in the process of getting that relocated and off the highway. But they're working on the design there and hoping in a couple of years get that out to construction. Here's a project that we started this year as well. This is part of my commute. I live up in Cache Valley. This is just north, at the very bottom of the screen is Smith and Edwards, the county line. Take 89 and go up there a few miles. They're reconstructing the pavement and improving the drainage and adding some shoulders which don't exist up there right now. And that project will be done the end of next year. Here's a project we're anxious to get going. Mouth of Weber Canyon. I was involved in getting rid of all the signals so you get down here quicker when you're coming from Farmington. So traffic's up here now. We have selected a design builder on that one. It's a progressive design build project. They're starting to design and hopefully in a couple of years they'll start get that constructed. They're replacing the interchange, the structure there, as well as some bridges over the river, as well as 2 railroad bridges in this first phase.
Can I just ask, sorry. Can I just ask a quick question? Wasn't there also like some type of trail system in that? Is that already done or is that in the next phase? Just couldn't remember.
All the above. So there are some trail systems along the river and south on 89. They are accommodating those trails with the replacement of the bridge over the river on the west side, the left side there. They'll be accommodating the river trail to be, I can't remember if it's going underneath it or in a separate box, but it'll be.
I think it's
get
underneath, right? Yeah.
And
Thank
then
you.
also coordinating with trails coming down off the side from Harrison.
Thank you so much.
I just want to, just a not relation, but when you talk about over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house, that's Grandma Harvey we're talking about. Right there. So just to be clear, that's a beautiful thing. That's the most beautiful picture I've seen. Thank you.
From an engineer's perspective, it's a great job because it has all the challenges you need. A couple pits, a couple rivers, a couple large facilities, a hillside, a couple bridges, a couple
So,
railroads.
I want to just don't mean to belabor the meeting, but I do want to point out when the Mormon pioneers were told by the trappers to come into this valley, they were first told to come to Ogden. A lot of people forget that. But they found when they got east of here how treacherous Weber Canyon was. That's my point. How treacherous Weber Canyon was. And so that's why they decided to divert and come down Immigration Canyon, because Weber Canyon was so challenging. My hat's off, obviously, so is my hair, with the people that did the construction of 84 going up there years and years ago. That's why it continues to be such a, one of the presentations that Ben made was the bridge up there. But this is really a tough geographic, everything is tough in there, really tough. So thank you for doing that, Paul.
The next one is, Ben mentioned this is the continuation of West Davis, or SR 177 from 193 up to 1800 North. This project will be advertised in the next month or two and construction start in the spring and anticipated to take next 2 summers. And just north of there, we're continuing the next phase. They're doing the environmental document from 800 north to 4,000 south. And so they're, in fact, after this meeting, I'm going to stop by a public open house meeting. We're doing the environmental document on that right now. Anticipating to have that environmental document done in the next year. And we'll continue 177, the next phase, from 4,000 south all the way up to Smith and Edwards, the county line, up there by Willard Bay. We're doing a corridor study. Last time we did that was 2009. We're looking just to update that. One of the great things about these corridor studies or environmental studies or any of our planning we have is the opportunity to do corridor preservation. We've purchased some properties along here and along this whole corridor. So that is a great savings for the taxpayers. Along with that I-15 project, we are widening SR 67 Legacy and that third lane. They're anticipating sending that out to bid here in a couple of months, and that'll be constructed next summer prior to the I-15 being started. Well, that's all I have. Any questions?
So does that mean that the I-15 corridor?
Will you use the microphone, Mayor Smolka, please?
Does that mean that the I-15 corridor and the Legacy are both going to be under construction?
No,
at the
that's why
same
we're
time?
advertising this separately, and it'll be constructed next year. It'll start next year and be finished next year. The I-15 piece, construction won't start on that till a year later.
Okay.
We're
And-
having
and
this
Mayor
built
Smolka-
first so we can transfer some of that traffic over to it.
Yeah, thank you. Just to echo that, UDOT evaluated the traffic on north-south and made a determination smartly, I think, that by advancing this Legacy Parkway project ahead of the I-15 construction, they're able to divert some of the traffic from I-15 to Legacy. That'll actually save significant amounts of money on the I-15 north project, enable them to do it for less cost and less time and more worker safety. So it's a complementary effort.
And along
I
with
think that, Joe, was 200 million they could save by doing it that way. Yeah, that's what Carlos said.
I just saw they were both in 2026, but the other one will be fall of.
The other part to that is we have the 215 just to the south of this in the Region 2 that's also under construction. And our goal is to have that done prior to the I-15 because people will be coming down through that side of it down to 15 instead of avoiding I-15. So those two projects are trying to be done in advance of the I-15 project to be able to get people around.
Any questions for Paul?
I think on the year, we said 26 on there for I-15. That's to get a contractor and a designer on board. This can take them a year or so to get their design up and running before they start construction.
Thank you very much. Great report. Kendall? Kendall Draney.
All right, we'll see. Thank you. So I am Kendall Draney. I'm the Region 2 Program Manager. Like Paul said, I'm representing Region 2. Our area that we oversee is Tooele County, Salt Lake County, and Summit County, to just kind of give you an idea of the projects that we're going to be talking about today. So these are some of the recent capacity projects that are just about done. We're just in punch list. So I'll go over the first one, which is Bangerter Highway at 4700 South. This project, as you can see from the picture, what we did was grade separate Bangerter Highway going underneath 4700 South. Along with that, we've added an auxiliary lane from 54th South to 47th South going northbound to be able to help with the traffic that goes towards 215. A lot of people going northbound get off at 47th to make their way to get on to 215 as well. And so that is a good help to be able to have a distance to weave for those coming on at 54th South. Along with that, we've started a trail. So this is the starting point of a trail that goes along Bangerter Highway. The next phase of Bangerter Highway to the north will connect into the same trail and will continue going north. So we built the initial parts of the trail with this 4700 South project. Some of the benefits of this project is now separating that high-speed facility of Bangerter Highway from 47th, so the traffic isn't going to have that conflict point anymore with the speeds, as well as this also helps 47th South with the through movement. More time can be given there than the time that was needed for Bangerter Highway, which is allowing reduced congestion on 47th as well as Bangerter. So those are some of the benefits that we saw. This is $134 million that's been spent. As I said, we're in the final stages of this. We're just through the punch list right now for the project, getting ready to finally be done with all construction activities. The next one is Bangerter Highway South interchanges. Very similar to what you just saw on 47th. These were at 9800 South, 134 South, and 2700 West. The two 98th and 134th went down and underneath the road, so Bangerter Highway is going underneath. On 27th, Bangerter goes up and over 2700 West. Again, the benefits to these projects are being able to separate that high-speed facility from those crossings and to be able to give more time to the crossings, specifically at 134th South is where that's truly needed with the amount of traffic going out to Harriman and to the Bluffdale area and Riverton in that sections. The project value for this one was $268 million. And again, this is at the same stage as the other ones that were at the punch list. We're just going across the final construction phase with this. All traffic's open and all the movements right now. I'll highlight some of the other current capacity projects that we're working on at the region. I'm not going to have a specific slide for each. I'll just kind of go down talking about them. Talked about the two Bangerter projects. We also have a capacity project going out in Tooele County, coming into the valley. This is out on I-80, adding an auxiliary lane from exit 99, those that are used to 36 driving from Tooele County. That's adding that extra lane to be able to go to 201 and exit onto 201, as well as adding a northbound lane on 36 in Stansbury all the way up to Lake Point. That project is anticipated to be completed this next summer, and it's a $38.4 million project. And then we have our SR 111 Harriman Parkway to 118th South. This is a new facility out on the west side of the valley. This is realigning 111 from the South Jordan section going straight towards the Riverton and the Harriman direction, all the way down to about 126 South is roughly about where it'll end up, and it kind of curves back up in. There'll be a section built by the city from 126 South connecting into this to where 126 currently dead ends as of now. That project just bid out, and construction is supposed to be started here this next year and will be going until 2027. It was a $50 million project. We have in design right now our Bangerter, the next sections of Bangerter. So this is to the north. This is from 41st South all the way to Parkway Boulevard. The project value here is $1 billion. The anticipated beginning of construction is in 2027. This would be doing the same thing as what you saw in those other Bangerters, grade separating those at the intersections that it goes over the top of. And then we have our Mountain View corridor. I know some people saw that there was an open house the other day. So a lot of people have been hearing about this project. This is going to grade separate and build the freeway inside the median through the segment down at Porter Rockwell all the way up to Old Bingham Highway in West Jordan. This is anticipated to begin construction in 2027 as well. Very needed project out there to be able to start getting those interchanges separated so we don't have as many conflict points as we have today and accidents that occur on that facility to be able to separate those cross streets. We also have our I-15 northbound Bangerter Highway to 90th South, a collector system. So this is building that separate system that you kind of see at 90th South right now, where it's got two lanes, you kind of get off before. It's that same concept, but coming from Bangerter Highway all the way up to that section. It's currently in design, anticipated right now that construction will not be till 2029. This is due to funding as we're working towards trying to find the full cash flow for that project. And then I have two projects here that are out in the future. These are not currently under construction or design yet, but will be, that we have planned on our SIP, which is Mountain View at Old Bingham Highway to 7800 South, doing interchanges there as well. And Mountain View corridor at 35th South is on that plan for, both of those are for construction in 2030. Outside of this, we have 3 projects that were just funded that are not necessarily capacity projects, but I think for this group are important to note. We just funded an I-15 auxiliary lane from Bangerter Highway to 146 South, as well as the one that was just talked about on 215, that auxiliary lane from 700 North to I-80. And then we also have an auxiliary lane that will be up in Summit County on I-80 to US 40. So that's from Kimball to Junction around to Silver Summit. So those are some of those other ones that aren't necessarily part of a capacity project, but I think have impacts on our communities and impacts on our commutes that will be helpful and benefit to all of you guys and to the communities.
Kendall, just explain for everybody, what is an auxiliary lane, please?
Perfect. So an auxiliary lane isn't necessarily a capacity. What it is when that on-ramp comes on, instead of having to merge directly over immediately into the through lane, you extend a lane that goes to the next exit. And so that allows that distance for those cars to make decisions, do not have to jam over immediately. And then those that are wanting to take the exit have a lot more time to try to get into it. So it allows that weaving in those conflict zones to be more fluid and be able to be more safe for those that are driving in those sections. Does that help?
Yeah, it allows the flow to continue with less impediments and enhances safety. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I also want to highlight some of the transit and active transportation projects that we're doing in the region as well. The first one that we want to highlight is Front Runner 2X. You've heard a little bit about this. This is going to do double tracking in 11 locations, create a new station in Bluffdale, looking to also build a new maintenance facility. Some of the things it's going to do with this is increase the frequency of a Front Runner to 15 minutes during the peak, 30 minutes on off peak, increase capacity to be able to have 53% more ridership ability. Also improve reliability of the trains. This project is currently funded with TTIF money as well as with some other local and UTA funding. And they're going after a grant from FTA for the remaining dollars for this. The total project value right now is estimated at $3.2 billion. Like I said, it's got $845 million of our local agencies funding into the project. Right now, the anticipated completion date is 2030. The other one I want to talk about is a
Kendall,
smaller
could I
project.
just go back to that
Oh.
one slide previously? Thank you so much. I just wanted to point out that last bullet point on the right-hand side. Increased choice 17% faster than I-15 in 2050. That's quite a significant availability, if you will. So just wanted to highlight that. So
Oh,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
The other project I want to highlight is 3900 South, 4100 South shared use path. This is phase 1. So this is going from the Jordan River out to roughly Main Street is where it's looking to end. This is building a trail on the south side. This trail is to look at a 16-foot wide trail separated from the roadway that will allow users and connect into existing facilities. So you can see on this map, those yellow stripes across, those are where bike lanes exist right now. So we'll be tying that trail and connecting them together, as well as the red trail here on the west side is going to connect into an existing trail that's at South Salt Lake that will start making these connections to be able to make this a more inviting, more friendly facility for those that are looking to do active transportation. This project is valued at $10 million. Like I say, this is bringing a larger vision of bringing all of these things together and trying to look at how can we help facilitate bicycle, pedestrians, and other modes of transportation.
Question right here,
Yeah.
1 minute, Wayne.
Maybe you'll get to this, but just curious on the timing and funding status on this one also.
So this one is out of our UTN, so our Utah Trail Network program. So it's completely funded as it stands right now. We're just in the process of finalizing design. We're hopeful that we'll be out in February, March timeframe with advertising to be able to get a contractor on board. So this one has no issues. I know we have some others that we're working through a federal grant on. And then this is just a list of some of those other projects that we have going on in our region. Right now, you kind of heard from UTA, we have the S-Line Extension project that will be occurring and hoping to have completion in 2027. And then as well as the Orange Line implementation / Red Line realignment, doing the environmental document, looking at that. So we're working with UTA on those. And then active transportation, we have our Utah Trails Network. We talked about 39th. We also have Welby Jacob Canal Trail out in Riverton. This is out by the Mountain View Village development. Doing a pedestrian crossing there along the Welby Jacob Canal. And then we have another Utah Trail Network from Bingham Creek Trail. This is from the regional park out in South Jordan that goes then through West Jordan down to the Jordan River. And then we have a bike facility on Immigration Canyon. And then we also have a pedestrian structure going across SR 209 90th South down in Sandy at Quarry Bend. That'd be able to get pedestrians across. So we're trying to make these connections, and that's what we want to highlight here is UDOT's not just doing capacity on roadway, but we're trying to make sure that we're helping transit and active transportation as well. Any questions for myself?
Questions for Mr. Drainey? Andrew? No.
I don't have a, Mr. Chair, I don't have a question, but just two things to note. One, Carlton has a question.
Okay, thank you.
No, it's really just a compliment to UDOT. They've worked great with us on a lot of these projects, and our teams are working really closely together. And I just kudos to the efforts they're making.
I'm going to just piggyback on that too. I've never in my lifetime been able to continually move on roadways or traffic the way that we are today, recently. No matter where you go, I'm impressed. And maybe it's the learning factor that we all get by coming to these meetings or other things, but to realize what goes into having to move traffic while construction's going on right over here or there, or there's a box culvert being installed or a swinging bridge being installed or whatever that might be. It's incredible. The fact though too, I've been just sitting here thinking, well, the money's already there for active transportation. I look forward to the day, and I hope it's in my lifetime, that we have to say, oh, we need more money for active transportation, because there's a lot of money in there, and I'd love to see that still continue to grow and grow, because I believe that as we grow active transportation, it helps with our public transportation, as that directly impacts the first and last mile. And so I look forward to that. Great job, both of you. Appreciate what you've done. Any questions?
Mr. Chair, you took some of the words right out of my mouth, so thank you very much. There was a lot of good information in both of these presentations. We'll share the slides that were sent out in the follow-up to this meeting if any of you want to look at it. And I have no hesitation in saying that Ben or any of the guys here, the team at UDOT and UTA, would be very happy to answer any follow-up questions, provide any additional information now or at any point in the future if you have any other questions about any of these projects. And I also just want to note that since we did introductions, we were joined by two other members of our committee. Mayor Harris joined us, and Council Member Stringham joins us as well. So welcome.
And I just wanted to note how much I loved those presentations, and that loved the way it hit all three modes of transportation. Really exemplifies the Utah Department of Transportation. So thank you very much.
And just take a point of privilege here too, as we get ready to close today. Mayor Joe, you've been here ever since I've started. You've been a great contributor. Thank you so much for your service. And as you continue down the trail, I hope that you have lots of sagebrush and places to water your horse as you continue down that trail. I hope things go well for you there. Do you have any comments you'd like to make?
I would like to say that coming to this meeting, to me, has been so educational, as you said, but it's also helped bring funding to our community. And I think that's been a big, big add to Immigration Canyon. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rob, I've always respected you. You've always seemed to be a clear and a good thinker, making good decisions, and your great questions. You've been a good example. I appreciate that very much. Anything you'd like to say?
No, not really. I mean, I've It's been 12 years and I've loved public service. It's been a privilege and an honor. And I think what I take most out of it is not being involved in public service prior to getting into the mayorship 12 years ago, as I really didn't have an understanding of how all these agencies work together, but have been very impressed with, this organization, my work with Salt Lake County and with corridor preservation and with TRCC funding and just I guess the competency of the people and the commitment and the passion they bring to their work has really been eye-opening to me. And I've been very impressed. And so I'm going to miss it. But thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it.
True, I've just what I've noticed. And Mayor Kendall and Harris, to you, thank you so much for your service. Bountiful is a wonderful place. A lot of family history on my wife's side there. I've always been very interested and you've done a wonderful job. Thank you. Anything you'd like to say?
Thanks. Thanks to the team. You guys are outstanding. So thanks for all you do and the projects that you make possible.
Great. Is there anything else from anyone else? Appreciate your words. Hearing none, I just want to make sure everyone has it on their calendar. Our next Transcom meeting will be held next year, February 19th, 2026. So if you'll just put that down, Andrea, I'm sure will remind you. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion for the, well, we already, yeah.
To that point, Andrea has already sent out calendar invites for this meeting for next year for everybody that's currently serving and continuing to serve in office. We understand every year through the COG process in January that some modifications can be made to committee rosters, but you already have the appointments for next year for these meetings. So
Great.
thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. With that last motion. Motion to it. Thank you, Joe. Second. Great. Thank you, Rob. All in favor? Non-debatable. We're adjourned.
Yeah, we won't see you next February.
Yeah.